All right, so in today's video, I want to take a look at quick look at the metals and also the dollar. I think we're getting um, pretty close to what I think is going to be the trade of the year, and I think it's going to be in the metal sector. Um, so of course you have the perma bulls in the dollar telling us that the dollar is going to soar, that um, the euro is going to collapse, and I tend to think that the currencies are just going to be stuck in a range. We've got every central bank trying to suppress their currency against their neighbors. And so not only do I not think that the dollar is going to soar, but I think it's probably we're just going to stay stuck in a range as every central bank is heavily manipulating their currency to keep it suppressed against their neighbors, which just means that the currencies, nothing goes anywhere. It just stays stuck. But for what it's worth anyway, as of Friday, the dollar has made a lower low and was unable to make a higher high. And RSI is getting fairly deeply oversold. It was not able to hold an embedded position in the overbought level, and typically this is a sign of an asset that is starting the declining phase of its intermediate cycle. But again, I would take all of this with a grain of salt because I suspect it's not going to be long before the ECB tries to intervene again, push the euro back down, and push the dollar up. So I don't know that any of these technical indications or cyclical signs are going to matter in the currencies. But for what it's worth anyway, we've got a lower low, and we've got some signs here that the dollar may be trying to start an intermediate or start the declining phase of its intermediate cycle. And if the dollar is starting the declining phase of its intermediate cycle, then that should be bullish for gold. So we've got we've got all the confirmations that I need to see to confirm that gold is moving down into a daily cycle low. So the here are a couple. The daily cycle uptrend line was broken. That has to happen in order to confirm that price is in the declining phase of its smaller daily cycle. We're still in the advancing phase of the larger intermediate cycle, just the declining phase of the smaller daily cycle. And this is going to give us the buying opportunity for, like I said, what I believe will be the trade of the year. We need gold to move down into its daily cycle low, and then we want to try and buy as close to the bottom as we can in preparation for I believe the second daily cycle will break through this 1800 resistance and possibly test the all-time highs. So the next confirmation is that the 10-day moving average needs to turn down during a daily cycle decline, and you can see that also happened. And usually the 5-day RSI will get oversold. We just missed it by just a whisker here, but in my book, close enough. Sometimes in a really powerful uptrend, a daily cycle low won't push the 5-day RSI completely into an oversold condition before bouncing. You can kind of see the same thing happened right here and right here. Again, it came up a little bit shy of getting fully oversold, and price tends to stay overbought during the advancing phase of an intermediate cycle, and it tends to rally quickly once price gets oversold, and you can see that happened here during this advancing phase, the intermediate cycle. Price gets heavily overbought, it gets embedded in the overbought condition. Any oversold condition gets bought quickly, and the next rally resumes. We are clearly in the advancing phase of an intermediate cycle. I think, as I pointed out, we've got all the confirmations that gold is moving down into its daily cycle low. But for the most part, this DCL is progressing more as a sideways consolidation rather than a deeper pullback. So at this point, we just want to try and, you know, pick the bottom, or as close to the bottom as we can, and then get positioned for the second daily cycle, which should also right translate, and I think that's going to produce um, a really good trade in the metal sector. And I've covered this in depth in the weekend report, and I'm going to be on the lookout early next week for signs that possibly the daily cycle, um, you know, I think it's going to bottom next week. Maybe there's even a chance that this was the bottom of the daily cycle low, sideways consolidation, and we're ready to go up. But I've covered this in depth in the weekend report. What I'm going to be looking for early next week. But I think we're getting close. I used the same strategies back here in the stock market to get us in almost at the exact bottom here, and then we started taking profits um, back here on Wednesday. The FOMC meeting was a potential trigger event for the daily cycle to top, and then closing below this 10-day moving average was another warning sign that maybe at that point we've made enough money and just lock it up and wait for the next daily cycle low before we get back into the stock market. This could, potentially just reverse again on Monday, and we go up and we get that full test of the 200-day moving average, which is right around 300 or 3,000, I mean. But realistically, there's not a heck of a lot of potential between here and 3,000. It's probably not worth continuing to press bets. We've made a ton of money on this move already. We're 28, 29 days into this cycle with risk of a top coming, and it may have come on Wednesday. Better just to be happy with the gains we've made here, and then wait for the daily cycle low and try and get in at the bottom, and then we'll be, instead of being on day 29, we'll be on day 1 or 2 again with a lot more potential and a lot less risk ahead of us. So we're using the same strategies for gold that we used here in the stock market to make some really good gains, and we've taken profits on those positions in the stock market, and we'll wait for something that qualifies as a daily cycle low in the stock market to reload our positions and hopefully make some more good gains during the second daily cycle in stocks as well. But I think the bigger trade, the one where we're going to make a lot more money, is probably going to be in the metals. We're just waiting for some sign that we've got a final daily cycle low, but we should be getting close.